With the release of Paradox Rift, we're getting a lot of new and interesting cards which are sure to make waves in the competitive Pokemon TCG scene. It brings us brand new archetypes as well as really cool cards that will certainly see play in a variety of the currently existing decks. In this video, I'm going to talk about 3 of these new archetypes that in my opinion look pretty competitive and can go toe to toe against the current powerful archetypes. These are Gholdengo EX decks, Roaring Moon EX decks, and Iron Valiant EX decks. If you want to support the channel, you can use code tablemon to get 5% off at Potent Store for your online codes, 10% off for your sealed product at Flipside Gaming, and 10% off on your aluminum accessories at TC Evolutions. Or if you're looking to buy singles or sleeves, you can fill up your cart and close the tab, then click on the affiliate link in the description and check out. That way you can support the channel over at TCG Player, Card Market, and Dragon Shield. ¿Eres de México y necesitas cartas de Pokémon? Busca Hyperbeam Cards en Facebook e Instagram. Y si estás en Tijuana, búscalos en el local C27 en el centro comercial Otay. Alright, so starting off with Gholdengo EX. Pretty powerful Pokemon. The Gimme Goal has some use with the attack call for family. It can definitely get you going in a pinch, going second, get that second Gimme Goal so that you can establish Gholdengo EX on turn 2. And then Gholdengo EX, pretty powerful Pokemon, 260 HP, has the ability Coin Bonus, where if this Pokemon's in the active spot, you get to draw a card, and if you get to switch out, which this deck doesn't focus too much on, but every turn you'll get an extra card, as long as there's no path to a peek in play, and then if you end up switching or escape roping, you'll be able to get a bonus card here and there, which you never know. Yeah, how many times have you been one card away from winning or not? Yeah, and then of course the Make It Rain attack. This really powerful attack, very similar to Chien-Pao EX's attack. You discard cards from basic energy cards, from your hand, and then this attack does 50 damage for each card you discard it in this way. So why is this powerful? There's no damage cap, right? So you can do infinite damage with it. The key numbers are you're gonna need 6 energy to KO V-Stars, you're going to need 5 energies to KO basic Vs or EXs, and you're gonna need 7 energies if you want to KO VMAXs or the stage 2 EXs like Charizard. So how are we gonna get those energies? We're gonna use Earthen Vessel to get energies into our hand. We discard a card, search for 2 energies. That also means we thin the deck, which is fantastic, and we thin our hand as well to potentially use Bibarel. Every time after we attack and discard all those energies, we're going to be able to use Bibarel to replenish cards into our hand. And of course, we have Superior Energy Retrieval and Energy Retrieval and Super Rod to be able to get back those energies and be able to continually dish the damage and the one-hit KOs. Now, Gholdengo EX might need a backup partner such as Scizor in order to have a good single price attacker, try to mess with the price trade-off, and also have an attacker that can be threatening without needing that huge investment of resources from the hand. Of course, Bibarel is a great support Pokemon. It means that even if you accumulate resources and you get Ionoed, you immediately get back those extra cards, to the point where I've even thought, like, in my dream world, I would love a 3-3 line of Bibarel. Is that possible? Probably not, but it's something that I would love to be able to have. Then outside of that, the engine, something I've thought would be fun to experiment with. The double Avery to be to be annoying to an opponent, triple Iono to take away opponent's resources, and then you can of course get more resources and replenish your hand with Bibarel. It's going to be very rare where you don't want to Iono because you're holding enough energies in your hand to get a KO, right? If you do, then just don't do it, alright? But most of the time you're going to be using Iono to attack your opponent's hand and dig for that Superior Energy Retrieval, dig for that Energy Retrieval, just be able to continually get energies into the hand to take KO. So on paper, this deck is also very similar in terms of engine to Chien-Pao. You trade the little bit of damage output that would come from Chien-Pao's 60 damage multiplier as opposed to Gholdengo EX's 50 damage multiplier, but you don't need to set up a stage 2 in order to be able to threaten anything, right? Single stage 1, single energy, and there's always a looming threat over your opponent. So I think that makes this deck pretty good and hopefully pretty powerful. Have not played with the list myself. This is just my first iteration, my first draft, my starting point, and then as I play games with and against it, I would definitely make adjustments, I imagine. Yeah, and Scissor is definitely the card that, looking at Japanese tournament results, because they did have some of the cards available from Paradox Rift before the rest of them came out, Goldengo EX had been showing up, had been winning, and Scissor was a continuous card that kept popping up in their list. So there must be a reason for that. So that's something that I have in the back of my mind when thinking about this deck. But now let's talk about Roaring Moon EX. Now, Roaring Moon EX, I really like this card. I like the simplicity of this deck list. But Roaring Moon EX is a very powerful ancient Pokemon. It's Frenzied Gouging attack. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. You knock out your opponent's active Pokemon. No questions asked, right? This is stopped by something like Tentacruel EX's ability, but you just knock out your opponent. No questions asked. And then, if your opponent's active did get KO'd, then Roaring Moon does 200 damage to itself. So you're always going to be trading that Roaring Moon, unless your opponent has a complete dead draw situation. Then that's the only way your Roaring Moon survives, having 30 HP left. Basically, like even a Charmander can just look at it and Roaring Moon goes down. But pretty powerful Pokemon to trade. And then you also have the Calamity Storm attack, which does 100 damage. And you may discard a stadium in play. If you do, that's 120 more damage. Now, that means 220. That's a magical number to knock out some of the older basic Vs and EX Pokemon. This new generation that we have is now having 230. 230 seems now to be the standard for basic Vs. For basic EX Pokemon, which is pretty powerful. There's also some V Pokemon that have 230, like Dragonite V and Tyranitar V, but Roaring Moon EX is pretty powerful, can lead quickly with that second attack, or can just eliminate a threat immediately with Frenzied Gouging. Now, something that I haven't seen in too many lists that have been showcasing and trying to go like turbo mode with Roaring Moon is Brute Bonnet. Yeah, the Brute Bonnet Pokemon with its ability Toxic Discharge. You can use this ability, and as long as the Brute Bonnet has the Ancient Booster Energy Capsule attached, if it does, then both active Pokemon are poisoned, right? Coincidentally, Ancient Booster Energy Capsule prevents your Pokemon from being affected by any special condition. So you can use it, poison someone, or you can choose not to use it, right? But if your Roaring Moon needs that little 10 extra damage, right? In order to knock out that 230 HP Pokemon, it's probably worth it to do that and get a little bit of stealth damage, or if you have 2 of the Ancient Booster Energy Capsules, you're not affected, right? So pretty cool. It's also a powerful, bulky-ish basic attacker. It does have the hefty 3 retreat cost, but we are playing 3 switch cards onto Escape Rope, so it should be fine. And then the attack also does 120, and during its turn, this Pokemon can't attack. But with your ability, that's 130. That's pretty good amount to deal enough damage to most of single price Pokemon. Will be going down with a 120. With the poison, that'll be enough. Something like Snorlax doesn't go down, but the poison could make it a little bit tricky for them to deal with. And then if you have the Ancient Booster Energy Capsule attached, you have a single price attacker that does that has 180 HP and is doing 120 to more thanks to your ability. So pretty powerful, lets you play with the price trade as I mentioned. And then outside of that, the other new card in the deck that really makes this deck work is Professor Sada's Vitality. You choose up to 2 of your active Pokemon, of your ancient Pokemon, and you attach a basic energy card from the discard pile to each of them. And if you attach any energy, you also get to draw 3 cards. So, like the total effect, 2 energies and 3 cards, is like Welder. We all know how good Welder was. This is different. It's from the discard, but between Pokestop, Ultra Balls, and the Earthen Vessel and Radiant Greninja, you're not going to be lacking ways to discard energies, and that synergizes perfectly with Professor Sada's Vitality and also your Dark Patches. Yeah, it's finally time for Dark Patch to shine with Roaring Moon EX. And that's why we have this whole turbo engine. We have Luminion V, we have Squawkabilly, we're playing boss to target down Pokemon. We're not bothering with disruption, we're not bothering with anything else other than trying to attack as quickly as possible, potentially on turn 1 with the right combination of cards, which doesn't sound difficult. This is a deck that very likely wants to go second, all right? I know it sounds weird, but with Luminion, searching for the Professor Zeta, with Squawkabilly, discarding a bunch of cards, hopefully Energy, with Dark Patch, being able to be found with Pokestop, a bunch of switching cards. A turn 1 attack with either of your Dark type Pokemon does not sound far-fetched at all with this deck, alright? So pretty cool to see this turbo build. I'm very excited to try out this deck. It's one of the most it's one of the decks that I'm most looking forward to trying, and yeah, this is my take on it. All right, so now let's take a look at Iron Valiant EX. All right, so Iron Valiant EX, that amazing Tachyon Bits ability that when I saw revealed at the World Championships, I could not believe it. Synergized so well with Lost Box. Now we have Iron Hands as well, so maybe Lost Box will not be as powerful, but just extra damage, extra 2 damage counters by switching is cumulative. So you can have 4 Iron Valiant EX, switch around with your switches, your switch cards, your jet energies. You can even make a full deck based around just placing 8 damage counters each and every turn, which actually sounds pretty fantastic. And you also have the Laser Blade attack doing 200 damage, and during your next turn this Pokemon can't attack. I feel like that now that's the most common effect ever. For like, it's a powerful attack, make sure it can't attack next turn, right? So that there's some drawback to that huge damage. 200, definitely on the lower end in terms of damage output. However, with your ability, with Radiant Alakazam manipulating damage, and also, with Shadow powering yourself up, and Medicham V, with the Yoga Loop giving you an extra turn, all of a sudden, the damage manipulation that you can do with this deck is incredible. And on top of that, we have the Iron Jubilees card, which is only a one-off, right? But the Horning Head attack does 50 damage to 3 of your opponent's Pokemon that have damage counters on them. So there's always a possibility you can pull off some really cool, powerful turns where you use Tachyon Bits, you manipulate damage, that like the 2 from Tachyon Bits, you split them with Alakazam, make it a little bit more efficient, take down their mana fee with Medicham in that one turn, and you can accelerate energy onto Medicham thanks to Shatu. Shatu's ability, fantastic. You get to attach a Psychic Energy to any of your Pokemon on the bench, and you get to draw 2 cards, use Medicham V, knock out mana fee, and then you get to finish things off on the bench. So between this deck and Iron Hands, I fully expect low HP Pokemon to really struggle in this metagame, and that might include Shatu. That like this deck itself or Iron Hands could be problematic for this sort of deck with the low HP 50, with the low 50 HP Natu. But yeah, this deck, I haven't played with it, but this is the most exciting deck for me. I really look forward to playing with this deck, manipulating damage all over the place, getting extra damage counters just by switching in, switching out, and where you place that damage is going to be very important, all right? Now, other newer cards that we have here is the Techno Radar, where you can discard a card from your hand and then you get to search your deck for 2 future Pokemon. It's not a 4-off because we also have other Pokemon that we need to set up, like the Natu and the Shadow line. That is why we have 4 Fog Crystal. They search for Alakazam, they search for Iron Valiant, and they search for Natu and our energy attachments as well that we can power up through Shatu. But yeah, Techno Radar, thin the deck, thin the hand, establish your threat, and also have search for the Iron Jugulis is pretty cool. And then we also have the new Future Booster Energy Capsule, which if it is attached to a future Pokemon, that future Pokemon has no retreat cost, and you do 20 more damage, meaning you need less Tachyon Bits, leftover residual damage in order to take KOs, and you have the possibility to free retreat, so you always promote your Iron Valiant, or like your Iron Jugulis if you will, and then retreat and then bring it up, and you can do a lot of things. It's gonna be very important to keep track of when you have retreated, all right, because I'm sure we're gonna see mistakes. I find myself doing that sort of mistake all the time. I did on stream not too long ago where I had already retreated because it was my first action. I retreated, and then I did so many other things that I forgot I had retreated, and then I retreated again. All right, so very important to pay attention to that. But yeah, this deck honestly looks super fun to play. Draw a lot of cards with Chat to power up your Pokemon, place a lot of damage counters, get extra turns with Yoga Loop. If your Medicham goes down, you can even Super Rod and use it again as well with essentially free energy attachments the whole game. This is a very rough draft. This is from the Japanese Pokemon YouTube channel. So surely there's things to potentially work on and change, but I really liked it. I saw the list and I was like, this makes sense, right? This absolutely makes sense. It features basically only new Pokemon as the main focus of the deck with the support of Medicham, Alakazam, and Manaphy. So I'm very excited to play more with Iron Valiant. It's like before Paradox Rift, you need to place 10 cards in the Lost Zone to place 12 damage counters. Now you just need to retreat and switch a couple times to do half of that. Yeah, so seems pretty good to me if you ask. All right, so these are the 3 decks that I'm most looking forward to from Paradox Rift. I think they're 3 fantastic new archetypes that we are going to be seeing. Not necessarily this list, not necessarily in this exact combinations, but I do feel like Goldengo EX, Iron Valiant EX, and Roaring Moon EX are here to stay. And it's pretty cool. We have a new Stage 1 EX archetype, and then we have a future archetype and an ancient archetype that all seem viable in the current standard metagame and might actually push some of the other decks a little bit away in viability, making room for newer and fresher things, which I definitely think we've been seeing since rotation. We've been seeing Lugia, Guardy, Lost Box, Raiden, Mew, right? Every single tournament. I am not gonna complain if we stop seeing a few of those archetypes and we start seeing some of these new cooler cards at the upcoming events, starting with LAIC. So yeah, let me know your thoughts. Yeah, I do want to hear from you. Let me know your thoughts. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, definitely do, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.